Good day, good day, good day. I want to welcome you back to our video for this week here at Ask Lady Jules, where we are answering your most pressing questions. Today, I want to talk about leadership and identity. There comes a point in leadership where the problem is no longer that you lack clarity. It's no longer that you need another breakthrough, another journal session, or another long moment of reflection. Sometimes the real issue is much simpler and but your structure didn't. And when identity shifts, but the structure is the same, execution's breaking down. And it's not because you've become lazy or you've lost vision or even that you're incapable. It's because your old systems are still trying to govern a new season. And so today I want to show you why that happens, what structural misalignment actually looks like, and how to begin to rebuild discipline. So, a lot of leaders are trying to solve structural conflict with emotional language. They call it burnout, inconsistency, procrastination, or a lack of follow through. And sometimes those things are real, but many times what looks like a personal failure is actually a design problem. You grew, your assignment changed, your capacity changed, your priorities changed, your level of responsibility changed, but your calendar didn't change. Your role expectations did not. Your commitments did not. Your boundaries did not. Your workflows did not. So now there is friction everywhere, and you are trying to carry a new season with an expired framework. And that is why execution feels harder than it should. So let's talk about what structural misalignment looks like. Because structural alignment is what happens when your external systems no longer match your internal reality. See, you know that something has shifted, but your life has not been rebuilt around it. And that can show up a few different ways. First, your calendar is full of priorities that belong to a previous version of you. Second, your commitments are still organized around old expectations, old access, and old responsibilities. And third, your systems were built for survival, not for stewardship. Number four, your boundaries are too weak to protect the work that now matters most. And number five, your execution has become inconsistent, not because you're unclear, but because your current structure keeps creating conflict. And this is why leaders often feel frustrated after a season of growth. They expected clarity to make everything easier, but clarity without restructuring often makes conflict more visible. So the problem was already there. The problem was already there. The shift just exposed it. Now, why is it that discernment is not complete at recognition? Let's talk about it. Because this is where many people they stop too early. They recognize the shift. They can name the misalignment. They feel the tension, and then they assume the work of discernment is complete. But discernment is not complete when the shift is recognized. It is complete when misalignment is removed and a new structure is built. So that means discernment is not only spiritual sensitivity, it is also practical obedience. So it asks different questions. Well, what no longer fits? What must be removed? What needs to be redefined? What boundaries need to be reinforced? What systems need to be rebuilt so this season can actually be carried well? If discernment never reaches your structure, it will not restore your execution. And so, listen, you cannot pray your way around a system that needs to be redesigned. You cannot journal your way around a calendar that no longer reflects your assignment. And you cannot keep calling yourself inconsistent when the real issue is that your structure is outdated. Now, I want to share with you all my three-part framework. And if you've been following along with me, you know I've been talking about this, and that is discern, dismantle, and build. That is the framework. Number one, you have to discern. You see, discernment begins with naming what shifted. Did your leadership capacity increase? Did your business responsibilities expand? Did your season require deeper focus? Did your healing change what you can carry? Did your values become clearer? You see, you must tell the truth about what changed. Because if you are vague about the shift, you will stay vague about the rebuild. Number two is dismantle. And this is the step most people avoid because it costs something. You see, it means removing what no longer aligns, and that may include commitments that should end, roles that should be redefined, that access that should be restricted, expectations that should be corrected, and even habits that should be released and systems that should be retired. You see, removal is not failure, removal is stewardship. And if something no longer fits your assignment, continuing to carry it is not faithfulness. That's friction, right? Now, let's talk about the third part of the framework, and that is build. Now, you have to build for the season you are actually in. And that means creating disciplined systems that support clear execution. So you may say, well, Shelby, what does that look like? That means that you have to think about new meeting rhythms, making sure that you have decision making filters. You have to make sure that you have protected focus blocks. You have to update your communication boundaries. You may need new workflow support, stronger review systems, better accountability. You see, rebuilding is not dramatic, it's disciplined. And this is how leaders stop living in that constant internal conflict because they stop trying to squeeze a new season into an old framework, and they build structures that can carry what has actually changed. Ask me how I know. I know this process oh too well. And sometimes people may not understand the reason why you have to rebuild, the reason why you have to make those shifts and those realignments. All right. Now, I want to talk about why accountability matters. Why does accountability matters? It matters because what gets rebuilt has to be protected. And that is where accountability comes in. You see, accountability is not pressure. Accountability is protection. Accountability, it protects what discernment revealed. It protects what made the removal even possible. It protects what rebuilding established. So without accountability, leaders often drift back into those familiar patterns, old obligations, inherited expectations. But accountability helps the new structure stay visible, practice, and sustainable. So, in my closing, if execution has felt harder than it should, do not rush to call yourself lazy, inconsistent, or undisciplined. I want you to ask yourself a better question. What changed in me that my structure has not caught up with? Because your identity may have changed, your season may have changed, your responsibility may have changed. And if that is true, then your structure must change too. So you discern the gap, dismantle the conflict, and build for the season you are actually in. And that is how discernment becomes real life execution. That is how leaders rebuild with faithfulness, clarity, and discipline. Now, if you're watching this and you know the gap is real, but you are not sure where to start, that is exactly what this season shift intensive is for. It is a private 90-minute session where we identify what shifted, what needs to go, and what your next structure actually looks like. We're not talking about fluff puff stuff. We're talking about a framework. And having a framework, it's talking about having clear discernment and a real plan that you can execute. So the link is in the description. If this is your season to rebuild, do not wait for another sign. This is it. And if this message resonated, go ahead and share it with the leader in your life who is navigating a season of transition because they need to hear this too. Thank you so much for tuning in to our video for this week. I pray that it has been a blessing to you, and I look forward to being back with you for our next video. Blessings. If this question reflects your current leadership season, pause and notice your response. Nothing is wrong with you. This points to capacity, not character. This is the work I support inside my private D.D.B breakthrough coaching cohorts. Structural support and sustainable change. If this pattern keeps repeating, deeper support matters. Thank you for spending this time with me. We rebuild first, then we rise.